So,
I also have Star Wars going on in the background. Rogue One, which is
thank you.
we're
Do me a favor.
gonna do.
Do me a favor. I love Rogue One. That's one of the things that they actually did right.
Oh yeah, and again, and we'll make mention in some of the podcasts that we do. We talk about stuff like this all the time, and we both have minor issues with Rogue One, but other than that, this movie is awesome. I love this movie. Like I said, I was like a kid again, going to the movies to watch, the original three. Well, maybe not the first, episode four, but definitely five and six. I was like a kid again. Especially when I saw, Vader come on screen. I was like all excited. I was like, oh my god, it's over! Look at that, it's so cool.
Yeah, yeah. Rogue One, they did a good job. I've got no problems with Rogue One. So now the recording's all ready to go, Mr. Paul. What question would you like to start with first? This is the sequel podcast to what we were doing on podcast 20. Where would you like it to take us today?
Well, I mean, we're talking about Rogue One, so we might as well just stay on Rogue One and talk about that. One of the things I loved about Rogue One is those unanswered questions. You get a new hope. You start with them. There's a ship escaping the Empire, and okay, so what do they got? Okay, Death Star plans. Okay, how do they get the Death Star plans? What the heck? What happened? Where are we at? So I like how it goes back and it shows a little bit of the rebel base. It shows how they got the plans. It answers some of those questions that you've had since the 70s. And then you have some characters. I like how they, CGI'd Grand Moff Tarkin. How they CGI'd Leia, and it wasn't too crazy. I mean, yeah, you can tell it was CGI, but it's like, oh, you know what? That's cool because for the most part, it wasn't like a lot of CGI into those two characters. And I do like, as a bad guy and how much he brings. Tarkin was actually, he was, really cool. I remember watching him and Vader was choking out one of the guys. Vader release him. That power he brought. I was like, oh man, okay.
Yeah, when the heck does Vader listen to anybody?
Right.
Except Palpatine.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, okay. Let's do this.
Yeah, Tarkin's a different kind of bad guy.
Yeah, and some of the Thrawn books that I've read, and I just finished that second one, Treason, and that one was actually pretty freaking good. I'm interested to read the next one, and I know he's not in Rogue One, but I know he's around in the Star Wars universe. Is Grand Admiral Thrawn or Grand Admiral Thrawn? I think he's another one of those characters like Moff Tarkin. It's just like, wow, he's a freaking military genius. He's just so smart and cerebral. As I don't know if you've read the books, but as he's talking or as he's listening to somebody talk to him, he's dissecting everything that they're saying. He's like, okay, so he's talking. He's kind of pensive in his talks, or just the way he's standing. He's reading everything. He's reading your body. He's reading what you're saying and what's going on. He is just a really awesome character. I really wish that they brought him to life in either the Last Trilogy or Rogue One. I hope they have something in store for him in the future because I think he's a great character. I'm happy that they finally brought him to life on Star Wars Rebels, but I'm looking for something on the big screen along with Ahsoka.
Sure, I mean he survived the Episode 6 phenomenon of the second Death Star blowing up and part of that main fleet, but then you've got all these other factions of the Empire that now breaks off, and that's why I was kind of mad about the First Order, because I'm going, no, I mean it was other factions that would just pop up, and they're kind of more of a secondary force that they fight. And then the New Republic, which is what they kept not calling them, they called them the Resistance, which I thought was kind of strange. I'm going, no, they won. And George Lucas is like, yeah, Palpatine's dead, New Republic. That's happening.
Right.
And they totally said, no, they're going to be a Resistance again. And I'm going, wow, so we got another 3 movies of them being on the run from the Empire? Okay. Yeah, that was kind of strange,
And then, like I was saying about Palpatine, it's like, okay, the last three, if Palpatine was the end all be all, what was Snoke? I mean, if they made Snoke, what Vader was to Palpatine in the original three, why couldn't Snoke be that in the last three? Okay, we know Palpatine's a bad guy, but here's his number one guy, his lieutenant or whatever you want to call him. He was powerful. That scene where he was chewing out Kylo, and he's all, yeah, when you killed your father, it nearly tore you in half, and then he got angry, stood up, and then he just blasted him with lightning. I was like, okay, cool, this guy's strong, awesome. I can't wait to see him in action. And then, yeah, that scene where he just, it's like, okay, so Snoke is gone.
Yeah, he's gone. What was he? We still don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, even, do you care to know?
Not really. That's the other thing. Yeah, he was there, and now he's not really an interesting bad guy. They didn't play him. They could have. He had something there, but then he got cut off early.
And the last podcast, I talked about some of these characters that I wish they had more of. Boba-Fett. Loved him. Kind of killed him off because he's rumored to come into the Mandalorian this season. Okay, cool. Who else? General Grievous. I liked General Grievous. Yeah, he was in the cartoon a lot, but I would have liked a little more screen time with him because I just thought he was a cool character. Who else? I think I made mention of somebody else. Ahsoka, but
we'll see about Ahsoka. If we might just get that.
Rumored for the Mandalorian, and then when Rey was channeling all the Jedi, I think Ahsoka, they said, and I think you can hear her voice. She was one of the voices on there. And then Darth Maul, again, he's another one of those characters. Yes, he did make a comeback. He made a brief cameo in Solo. He was in Rebels. He was in the Clone Wars. So yeah, I would have wanted more of him in on the big screen. But again, he's one of those interesting characters that it's like, oh man, came off too fast, or at least we thought I killed him off too fast.
Right, and for me, Darth Maul, we talked about this in Podcast 20 a lot, where just those doors open up. Like, that's a bad guy you can have respect for. Who is this crazy guy? He's got horns, face paint, double-bladed lightsaber. Like, he doesn't say anything. He doesn't say anything. So there's a lot of mystery with that. So your brain is trying to fill in who this guy is. And I think that was a really bold move for the Lucasfilms. Because they're going, okay, we're used to having Vader talk and stuff. What if we just had a guy that was slightly lower on the totem pole and he just totally did a different tactic? So I like what they did with Maul. And I think, yeah, he got killed off a little early too. But, I mean, same with Grand Moff Tarkin. I mean, he technically died on the first Death Star.
Yeah, that's true.
But whatever role they did a good job. Qui-Gon, he got killed off pretty early too. I would have loved to see more Qui-Gon Jinn.
Which actually brings up, I just talked about the Mandalorian and some of the characters that are rumored to be on there. Ahsoka's one of them. Bo-Katan, what's her name from the other Rebels? Sabine or whatever. Captain Rex from Clone Wars is supposed to be on there. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, this is all cool. Hyping at Mandalorian, awesome. I can't wait for the next season. I thought the first season was a huge success. Little bit of ups and downs. There's some episodes that I was like, okay, whatever. And then with some episodes, it's like, oh man, it's all I can be. But they have been rumored to be working on a Kenobi one, and I'm like, oh man, this is awesome because I think they started with a movie, and I think they scrapped that in favor of a series. Obviously, I think you could get more in a series than you can a movie, unless you do, multiple movies. But I think, hey, I am totally down with 7 episodes a year for a couple of years. That'd be freaking cool. And depending on what they do, are they gonna? Because I believe Hayden Christensen is even rumored to be on it. So, are they gonna do something where, from the Clone Wars to, A New Hope, all the adventures he goes on there and in between, or is it just gonna be strictly after Anakin and him fight, all the way up to him finding Luke again? What are they gonna do?
The truth will be seen at some point. I hope they don't mess it up. I think there's a chance they could, but what do you think? You think they have a higher chance of actually getting it proper because they're getting the same character that Obi-Wan was in the prequels?
I think so, because I think as long as you follow that template the Mandalorian led with, I think that you have something stable to move forward with. Now, with that being said, they had a pretty good template with Rogue One, and then they gave the next couple movies, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So remains to be seen. At least you have familiarity with, Obi-Wan and Ewan McGregor. So it's like, okay, and you know who his nemesis is. You know where he can be found on Tatooine or wherever, depending on where they want to go. So. But they can show him how he communes with either Qui-Gon or Yoda or whatever. So I'm interested to see. I don't know when it's going to come out, but I can't wait for that and for the Mandalorian.
Do you know when season 2 comes out?
Mandalorian season 2 is supposed to be this fall. I don't know if the whole COVID thing had anything to do with it as far as pushing it back, but last I heard it was in the fall.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it too. Season 1, they did so much with it that was correct. I really dug the fact that the Mandalorians got like this 45-70 kind of. Did you notice the way like the rifle actuated, like the one shot you throw in the cartridge and then you fire? Yeah, it's kind of got that trapdoor feel from like the 1870s, and I go, oh, okay, yeah, all right. He's got like an 1894 pistol experimental. They did some good stuff with that. They took real guns and tried to roll with it.
Where the heck have these weapons been this time? And granted, they haven't had a lot of Mandalorian screen time, or aside from what, Rebels or Clone Wars. So
the side stuff.
Yeah. So I don't know, but it is definitely cool seeing them. That's one of the arguments I had with Solo and the band of pirates. I think they were called Memphis Nest. How should have been Mandalorians, man. Should have been Mandalorian. Mandalorians hate the Empire.
100%. In fact, they hate pretty much any authority that's coming to their planet. I mean, they're a pretty independent faction. Mm-hmm. So, and they're a warrior people. I mean, like in the Old Republic, the Mandalorians had their own colonies at one point, but eventually it was just one main planet where they just kind of go off into the world and do what they need to do. But I think it was just down to like one planet by the time we got to the Star Wars saga that we know.
Mandalore.
Yeah, Mandalore. That's it.
Yeah. And with that being said, and I think we touched on this in the last podcast, but what period, they're rumored to do an Old Republic type movie. Where would you want them to begin? A Revan thing, or would you want them to do before? That's what we don't have. I want them to do the Jedi Council training Revan. I want to see that. I want to see the break where him and Malik say, no, we're going to go fight the Mandalorians. I want to see the Mandalorian fights. Can you imagine? You've got all those crazy Old Republic ships that they have, and they're fighting with the Republic. I want to see that. We didn't get to see any of it. We just heard all the stories in KOTOR. Yeah. So I want to see that up front and center. See, what happened at Malachor 5? I want to see that on cinematic. I think that would be freaking awesome.
Right, and then Episode 3, those kind of space scenes, they could use that as a template and go, okay, let's see if we can crank the odds here a little bit, but kind of use that as a template for a baseline. Don't go any less cool than Episode 3 fighting in Coruscant. You know what I mean? So that's where I want to see, because KOTOR 1, you see when Revan essentially is risen from the almost dead. He gets to be a Jedi again and save the universe or save the galaxy. And then we get to see in KOTOR 2 5 years later. Maybe we can even see the part between KOTOR 1 and KOTOR 2 where you're seeing Revan go off, and then maybe you get to see a hint of what he's doing, but still have that mystery of always fighting the unknown Sith.
Right.
But they don't want to give too much away because they probably still want to have some plot development. And then kind of see how the Republic kind of goes into a dark age. Because that's what happens, right? They're so stressed from 2 wars, not just 1, but 2. The second war being the Jedi War, and then the first one being with Mandalorians. So it would be cool to see the after effect, in one of the next films. So you did the first one where you got to see all the wars, and then maybe you'd be able to connect it with what the character did with Revan, and then maybe the next film would come up and you just see how people are just desolate. They're just trying to survive, and then you see like maybe one ship that's responsible for trying to maintain the planet. And you see they've got a lot to work with. They really do. So,
and I think with all of Disney Plus, like Mandalorian and Kenobi, you can build off, you do a side movie or side shows, to give more depth to it. You don't have to do a whole movie, but I think as long as you provide something that explains what happens here or what happened in between this time frame, I think that works too. And I'd rather see a movie, but you can only do so much in the movie.
Sure. So we should have some expectation of we need to fill in a lot of the audience on how we got to this point. So maybe there could be a story. Sometimes they do a little bit of exposition in a story, so they kind of fast forward to the end to start the beginning, and then the story helps tell what happened.
Right.
You see games like Halo do that. You see other video series do that. So instead of just jumping right into a Once Upon a Time, you let the person that survived it tell from their perspective, and then you go back.
I am totally fine with that. My daughter and I were talking about this in particular, and I think we did make mention of it. What are your thoughts on redeemable qualities for the Last Jedi?
So the redeemable things they did. Okay, let's give them some good things here. So Poe is my favorite sequel character because he actually has an arc. So he tries to mutiny, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think that's kind of cool. He's like enough of it. And I think the audience is probably thinking something similar. Mm-hmm. Like we don't want to be led by this crazy haired person. I want Poe, and it's just like, yeah, that makes sense with me. I'll decide with Poe. Right. He's pretty daring. In both, and I think all 3 films, he's pretty daring. You really get to see it in 8 and 9 what he does. So I like seeing what he did, both the space fights in the beginning and with the mutiny and some of the unexpected things that were in the film. He gives that dynamic part of the sequel series that I appreciate. So that's a plus. They do get, it's not a 1 out of 10, for that film. Poe does get some credit there. And of course the graphics, I mean, they did do a good job with the visuals. Yeah, the eye candy is there, then no problem. But keep in mind, episode 3 did that too and had a plot. So, I mean, that's where I'm like, they're not going to get off that easy. In 2005, they had amazing stuff for episode 3 and a plot. So that's what made them like top of the line for me.
What I find kind of funny, I don't mean to interrupt you here.
Sure.
Is I remember when episodes 1, 2, and 3 came out, how much, negative publicity they got from some of the Star Wars. Oh man, they were crap, da 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 da. And I don't know if that was like, maybe the people or the kids my age grew up with 4, 5, and 6, and so they were critiquing them pretty harsh. But nowadays, like my kids, where episodes 1, 2, and 3 were around when they were kids, and my daughter, her favorite one, Revenge of the Sith, which I like it. I went to the midnight showing of that one. I came out of that one, I was like, wow, that was freaking cool. Definitely the best out of the 3, but still, there wasn't as much hate, in my opinion, on those three than like the new three. Look at the new three.
Oh, it's
how crap are those? So I'm interested to see in the next 10 years how people still will perceive them. You know, it's like, oh, you know what? I grew up that bad. That was pretty good. Blah 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 blah. I mean, in my opinion, I still think the worst one was the Last Jedi and Solo.
right there with you. Those are at the bottom. And to continue on your point of episode 8 of what I liked about it, I like how they finally got Luke to speak. He got to do something. They gave him some screen time. So yeah, good. You got Mark Hamill in there. All right, that's pretty baseline. Because when he throws the lightsaber over his shoulder, I go, that's just not him. Okay, well I gotta erase that from my memory banks in hopes to try and remember who the true Mark Hamill Luke Skywalker character is. Him learning from Yoda, I think there is some nuance there. As much as I didn't appreciate Yoda just blowing up the Jedi Temple with lightning and going, failure is the greatest teacher. Yeah, that's a good line. Kind of wish it was done with something else, but that's is what it is. They can use that. They did. I think that fits in the film, even if I'm not comfortable with it. But that's different than I hate it and it should have been there. Like when Luke's drinking the stupid green milk or whatever. That part, I'm like, okay, erase from memory banks now. Like, that's not... I consider that a non-canon part of the film. All right. Luke throwing the lightsaber over his shoulder. Not part of the film. Okay. I have to do that kind of crap with episode 8, which is a little dicey.
I go back to Empire Strikes Back, the vision of his friends being in trouble. He dropped everything to go help his friends. That is not what he does in this one.
At all.
That was not him. He was always there to help his friends. And by him bailing, dude, seriously? That is not freaking Luke Skywalker. Come on.
Yeah, and that's why all the fans are going, you just tried to ruin probably one of the most iconic Star Wars characters ever. And for me, I say Red 5 standing by all the time in respect of the character of Luke Skywalker. Because the fool that becomes the hero, we talked about it a lot on the last one, but I will say it again. This guy, for sure, does Star Wars probably the biggest credit in episodes 4 through 6 as a character, as a good character.
Right. Well, since you're on that, my daughter actually had a couple of questions. We've gone on like TikTok and we've subscribed to Star Wars stuff and all that. I think I've sent you a couple of.
You have.
And her and I have actually did this. So, favorite Jedi, favorite Sith, favorite character, non-Force user, and a favorite scene from one of the movies.
Okay, so with favorite Jedi, you already know that's Luke. Yeah, that's been answered. And do I need a reason why before I move to the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is more the lightning round. Okay, favorite Sith when Revan was going at it in after the Mandalorian Wars, definitely Revan. Mainly because he's got the respect factor.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so favorite non-Force user? Non-Force user. I think I'd have to say probably, if I had to pick out of all of them, you know what? Poe is probably like the one redeemable characteristic of the sequels. So I'll choose him. Yeah, I'll say him.
Smaller character, but they're similar. They have some similar.
Right. So, yeah, I'll choose Poe mainly because he's a good X-Wing pilot. If he didn't exist, I would have said somebody like Wedge or Han Solo or somebody like that. But Poe actually does have a fair amount of credibility in being dynamic, being a good leader, winning the respect of his men. Yeah, I'll choose him. What was the last one?
One of your favorite scenes.
Oh, favorite scenes of all time. I would like to say when Kenobi's fighting Darth Maul.
Ooh,
Episode 1. And that's right after Qui-Gon gets hit in the chest. Because that's when you see him just go all at it. You know he's over his head. You know he's over his head. He's fighting Darth Maul. Darth Maul is like one of the best trained lightsaber Sith right at this time. Kenobi's still learning. But you could tell he's just pushing every moment. He's one mistake away from dying just like Qui-Gon.
And you know what? You know what it reminds me of? When Return of the Jedi, when Vader was messing with freaking Luke. Your sister, so you have a twin sister. Maybe I'll turn her. And he's like, no. Granted, not the same way, but you could tell he was getting under his skin. Kenobi, yes, he just saw his mentor die, somebody that he was close to die, and then he's filled with, I'm sure he was filled with anger, right?
Oh, he is filled with I think it's even beyond that. I think it's the love. I think it's the love of his master that's just been. Every feeling he had for Qui-Gon Jinn is now being put into. This is for you. It's not even about this. It's like in honor of Qui-Gon Jinn, I will fight on your behalf. Now that you are slain and mortally wounded, because your heart's not there anymore. And then he just goes for it. Now, in Luke's case, I think he got really agitated, but he literally cuts off Darth Vader's hand, and then he kind of goes, oh, crap, what did I do? Yeah. But in Obi-Wan's case, that's not what happens. He finishes off Darth Maul, defeats him, and goes, it's like he's relieved. Right. He's relieved. Okay, we made it. We did the job. Qui-Gon, are you alive? Right. Not for long, young Padawan. Not for long. But in Luke's case, he realizes, nah, I screwed up. Because then Palpatine's going, oh, you've done messed up. And then in a response to that, Luke tosses his lightsaber in episode 6 going, I can't do this anymore. And then Palpatine goes, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't understand. And they even told him that. It's like, don't underestimate the power of the Emperor. I don't think he knew what he was getting into when he did that. I don't think he would have throw away his lightsaber.
No, but he was trying to do something good. But in all that, he kind of did, because Vader sees his one son that's getting shocked to death by the one guy who's essentially killed every other thing or person he's loved.
Yep.
So that... I don't know if that was him tossing it to the Force and saying, let the Force decide, which is probably a more mature answer. But it definitely looks like he's just giving up. And he's just.
And that's a Luke answer.
Yeah, and that's a Luke answer. But the Force intervened. This is where I'd say the Force is definitely more on the good side, because the Force intervenes on Luke's behalf. Vader rises up and takes out the Emperor, even though it takes out his own life. But yeah, those are my 4. Do you have, or your daughter have, those 4 questions answered as well?
Ashley. Her favorite Jedi? Anakin. Darth Vader.
Chewie.
And then Kenobi versus Anakin.
Man, that it's such a hard scene to not like.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It was filled with everything.
It's got everything. It's Civil War. It's brother versus brother. Yeah, that George Lucas, if there's any masterpiece of a lightsaber fight, it's that one.
I don't think that'll ever be rivaled. I thought Luke fighting Kylo, I don't think even if it was like that, would fail in comparison. But I thought that that's something that could probably be up there, and well, it was nothing.
Yeah, what, the Force projection thing in episode 8? Yeah. I appreciated the Solo line. Oh, that was one more thing I'll give him. Oh, the better luck next time, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like Han talking too.
Yeah, that was on behalf of Han Solo. So that was good. Yeah. So that maybe rises the film to like a 2.5 out of 10.
I think I told you my parts of that film that I really liked. I really liked the beginning, and it started off with Poe going after the Dreadnought. I thought that was cool. Again, when she crashed the ship into Snoke's ship, thought that was cool. That was different. Again, taking out the other Star Destroyers, lame. I didn't care for that. The Force projection, however, I thought it was cool. I bought him some time, but I think what the last trilogy needed is it needed a lightsaber scene, Luke's last lightsaber scene, whether he would be slain by Snoke or Kylo or the Emperor. I thought it would have made a lot more sense with one of those three. Mainly the latter two, maybe Snoke or Palpatine. But hey, it is what it is. But as far as me, my favorite Jedi, he has gone through so much, and we've talked about all the PTSD that he's gone through, and still he didn't flicker, didn't turn to the dark side, along with Leia. Leia saw her whole planet destroyed. Leia saw her dad turn. Leia saw a lot. She never turned, but they really didn't portray her as, really a Jedi Knight or anything. They did a little bit in the last
one. A little out of place, in my opinion. I mean,
yeah.
A little out of place.
But Obi-Wan for sure. It's a toss-up as far as Sith go. I really like Darth Bane and his storyline, although I do really like Revan and his story, because it's basically like Anakin. He goes from the good guy to the bad guy. And, well, back to the good guy, where he redeems himself. Anakin does, where, same thing with Revan. He redeems himself, so... that one is too difficult for me. I'm a Boba Fett fan, so that's going to be my favorite Force user. And my favorite scene is probably going to be the same along with my daughter. It was probably that. It was probably, Revenge of the Sith, that lightsaber scene. However, your pick was also up there too. If I couldn't pick anyone picked it, I would probably say Rogue One when Vader came in because that was so cool. It was so cool.
You're talking about the end where they're like, take the plans.
Yep.
And we were joking, like, he couldn't just use Force, just use the Force a little bit. Got it. Yep. But, yeah, they did that for a little more flair than anything else.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, that was good flair.
I definitely like it. Those are mine. And what else? We already talked about the characters that are rumored to appear on The Mandalorian. So the next question we had for you, and I'll read my daughter's movies in order, 1 through 11. Revenge of the Sith, numero uno. Empire Strikes Back. Return of the Jedi. A New Hope. Attack of the Clones. Rogue One. The Force Awakens. The Last Jedi. Rise of Skywalker. Solo. And The Phantom Menace.
The Phantom Menace at the bottom? Really? Okay.
That's what I kind of said, but hey, it is what it is.
All right, okay. That's okay. We all have our opinions. If you want to hear mine, I'm ready.
Okay. So I had, from what we talked about before, you had Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi, Rogue One, The Phantom Menace, and A New Hope. Correct?
For my top 5? Yeah, those are correct.
So, what else you got?
So for my bottom 5, it's going to be Attack of the Clones would probably be like 8 or something, 8 or 7. Mainly because as a kid, I remember going, okay, I'm going to see a war movie. And then it wasn't until the last 30 minutes where I got to see it. So, but it still beats a lot of other ones, like The Last Jedi, which is at the very bottom. What they did to Luke 100% makes that movie the worst. Solo, it was like, you could tell they did it for the money, so right next to it. I boycotted that film anyway and just saw the highlights. Well, yeah, because we wanted to make sure Disney would actually do episode 9 right, which they made mediocre, which is a lot better than just screwing it up. But anyway, the Rise of Skywalker is probably right next to Solo. The Force Awakens, at least, they had some things going there because they didn't screw it up yet. They were kind of intro, First Order.
That one, it was just a carbon copy of A New Hope, just renewed, right?
Yeah, with a planet instead. Killing Solo. So the character himself is like, oh, I thought I was going to die in Episode 5. Then they forced me to go back in Episode 6. So they finally gave Harrison Ford what he wanted and have him died in Episode 7. So I go, you know what? That's cool. Well, because in 1980 he's going, oh, finally I get to die, and then in these films I don't have to do it anymore. And then 83, oh, I gotta do this again. I don't know if that was. I could tell that's not exactly his favorite films to do, but that's not important with the ranking. So Attack of the Clones is probably right above The Force Awakens, and then. I guess for the middle, what are the ones I haven't picked yet? Because the top...
we already got one, A New Hope, Phantom Menace. Yeah, Empire Strikes Back smack in the middle.
Yeah, I'll put Strikes Back in the middle. It's not bad, and I would say the main reason why I'm putting it in the middle, even though a lot of people like putting it in their top 3, because that's a lot of plot development, and I could see that. The Return of the Jedi and A New Hope, I like those more, in my opinion, because those. So Luke, you see him as a really bright character in 4 and 6, which is more of what I'm used to. 5, you kind of see him as he's in development. He's not the best Luke in 5.
Right.
I kind of see him as a little too rash. He's not quite doing it for the right reasons, except for the friends thing. Yeah, that's consistent in all 3 films. But as far as like the other parts of the film, like the asteroid field thing went a little long. Going through Bespin, and some of this stuff's like, yeah, that was cool, but in comparison to like Han Solo taking an E-11 blaster rifle and running at like a platoon of stormtroopers just to find a whole company, shoots one in complete panic, runs the other way. Undeniable for a classic, right?
Right.
And yeah, back to the ship. Yeah. And then with Chewbacca in that same film, just like screaming for his life when they're like trying to get out of the trash compactor. Like, that 4's got to be higher, in my opinion, just because of those reasons. Even though it was really funny having him have C-3PO as a backpack in Empire Strikes Back.
Right. how he actually wasn't like a sniveling coward. He was actually like, giving him crap back. It's like, you put my head on backwards, you idiot. Wow, this is not the C-3PO we're used to. It's like, oh, what happened to, I'm done for, Master Luke, just leave me. You're like, where did this guy come from?
Just leave. I know. And then you got Luke going, no, we're not going to just leave you here. It's just...
What kind of talk is that?
Yeah.
Well, with all that being said, Empire Strikes Back is my favorite. And I think I like it because it wasn't, it wasn't easy for the rebels. They took a hit.
They did.
They got their butts kicked on Ha. They Bespin, getting out of Bespin with pretty much a Solo getting encased in carbonite and a chopped off hand. You got your butts kicked, man.
Yeah, they barely made it out of there.
Yeah. And I think that's what I liked about it, that it wasn't easy. Just like life. Life isn't easy. It's not always going to be perfect. You're going to go through ups and downs. You're going to get crapped on. And what happens? You learn from it, pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, and go back to it. And I think that's what I liked about it. That, hey, they picked themselves off, and hey, this is Return of the Jedi. We're back. Okay, let's do this. And that's what I liked about it. I liked because they got, look what happened to Luke at the very beginning. He got freaking mauled.
By one monster.
Yeah, by one monster. And you can tell when dropping. And so that's right, my friend's in it. You could tell it brought everybody together. It's like, oh man, okay, this is about my friends that are like my family. Why did Luke leave Yoda? He did it for his
friends.
No, Leia was his family, but he did it for his friendship of to protect his friend. That's why he did it. So yeah, Empire Strikes Back.
There's so many great lines from that too. I gotta say, yeah, this one goes there, that one goes there. When Chewie's doing the welding thing, or when the temperature's dropping, you're not gonna make it past the first marker. Well, then I'll see you in hell. Just
yep.
I'm gonna go find him.
Yeah, or even what Lando said to him, like, "You got a lot of guts coming here after what you did." The heck? What? And then he gave him a hug.
Yeah.
That's freaking classic. That's what you do to your friends. You bust their chops and you keep them off balance. My number 2 is Revenge of the Sith, followed by Return of the Jedi, and then Rogue One and A New Hope. To me, those two are hand in hand. Wherever you have one, you have to have the other, because I think it's just one long movie. Because for the most part, if I watch Rogue One, I'm watching because Rogue One was made so well that they just mesh right together. I actually like The Force Awakens. I like parts of it. Again, it was just redoing A New Hope. Really, I mean that's all it was for me.
With new characters.
New Hope. The Force Awakens was fine. I liked Attack of the Clones. I admit, just like you did, I thought, oh man, this is gonna be all war. Okay, we're gonna see some action, and then, okay, this is kind of boring. Okay, Geonosis. Okay, where were they going with that? When they went to Kamino and you got to see all the clones, I was like, wow. I really got goosebumps when I saw that. I was like, oh man, this is so freaking cool. And finally being able to see Yoda fight, seeing Dooku fight. Dooku didn't back down. You were awesome freaking Yoda is, and then Dooku's like, I just took out Kenobi and Anakin. Come on.
It's probably pretty high up there. And yeah, in episode 2, they got their butts kicked for what it's worth. Geonosis was a last-ditch effort to just try and stop Geonosian droids going all over the place. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So similar, analogous to, like, episode 5 in that regard. But yeah, 5, I think what it did was, even when things were the worst, the mission kept going. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no wonder people like 5. I'll keep that in mind for my list. Maybe it'll change.
The Phantom Menace. And, it's kind of funny when you rank the movies, how, you have your upper tier and then you have your lower tier. I really believe that there is a bottom tier that, like, I don't even want to watch those bottom tier. Where my upper tier, even though I rank the Phantom Menace, because I love the pod racing. I love seeing Maul in it, even though he wasn't in a lot of scenes, but just seeing him, that presence he brought, it's like, oh man, this guy, he's a badass. And of course, the fight scene. That fight scene is my favorite. The musical score they had for that fight scene is probably one of my favorites. And then there's lame parts. I mean, Jar Jar, arguably one of the worst characters, at least in my opinion, one of the worst characters in freaking Star Wars. If they would have made him to be a Sith Lord, it would have been better than the crap that they gave us with him. I'm sorry, but Misa think you are the crappiest character, buddy. And then I think I was annoyed when Qui-Gon told Anakin, stay in that cockpit, don't move, da 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 da. Okay, so he stays in that cockpit. He's out flying. He's like, Qui-Gon told me to stay in that cockpit. So that's what I'm good. And then let's try spinning. This is a good trick. Do you not realize this is life and death? This is not about doing tricks, buddy. This is about making sure you stay alive. And then he accidentally destroys the ship. Whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
That's my issue with it, or else I would have rated it higher. Again, Maul, awesome. Pod racing, awesome. Jar Jar.
Yeah, and with 1, we talked about this in the first one, where you really get to see Star Wars. Like, they allow you to just kind of soak it in, which is why it's on my top 5. Mm-hmm. And when Kenobi's fighting Maul, that's bomb. You've got some really bomb parts. Yeah, There's a couple parts in there I'm like, yeah, skip them all. Skip the part where Jar Jar's talking to Qui-Gon. But then you also see him that people just can't stand him in the movie either. So that makes me feel better. I go, okay. So,
and even the lightsaber scene, that's like the first time, aside from when Luke and Vader were fighting for the first time, where he used the Force to, throw things at Luke to keep him off balance. That was one of the things I liked about Maul. He's backing himself up to that door. He grabs that little droid piece, throws it at the door, boom, hits the switch to open it. Dude, that was freaking cool. I'm like, okay, he's aware of his surroundings. He really is a warrior. He's not, just a piddly little, bad guy. He is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, he's a worthy opponent.
Yes. And to be taken on two without backing down. I mean, you didn't see him cowering. He was like, okay, let's do this. He was anxious. He told Palpatine that last reveal ourselves, He was not afraid. And then the last three, Rise of Skywalker, Solo, and The Last Jedi.
Yeah! Alright, we can agree on the bottom three. Yeah.
At least the bottom two. I think the bottom three we got the same, but definitely the bottom two, it's hard to rewatch those. And my daughter's pointing out that again, I think what made Solo cool, that was another time where I was like, oh, dude, that's freaking awesome. Because, again, Darth Maul, one of my favorite characters. So, yeah. So, with that being said, my daughter was asking this question. Luke, in, was that episode 8? Why didn't he have the same look as he did in the other movies? Luke wanted to run and hide, whereas the OG Luke lost his hand to his Sith father and still saw good. What did you mean by that?
I mean that, he still fought his dad, and then in the newer sequels, he just freaking ran away from a teenager.
Yeah. Okay.
Basically what you guys were saying earlier, that's not the same Luke.
Well, that's kind of what Jacob's issue with it is. Yeah. Luke was done dirty, where the old Luke was just like, okay, let's do this. I'm here to take on the Empire. Now they're making him, I'm just gonna run away because Kylo turned bad. It's my fault. Woe is me. So yeah, I totally get that. Again, we kind of already harped on that they made him being and then I heard even in they were trying to defend that. Well, that's what Obi-Wan did. No, that's not what Obi-Wan did. Obi-Wan did what he did to protect Luke growing up, to watch over him from afar so that they didn't draw any attention to him. That's what Obi-Wan did. He didn't run away. You might say that Yoda ran away, but Obi-Wan did not run away.
Yeah, if anything, they're trying to say he's taking more of the Yoda path, which really, that's not Luke even a bit. He's definitely more connected to the Obi-Wan line than he is the Yoda line. Yoda's kind of in his own tier. And I can understand they're trying to make him, he was this powerful. Look, Yoda's kind of like, he's just put all of his Jedi mind into wisdom, and that's it. That's the persona of Yoda. All wisdom. Nothing else. But then if you go to Luke, it's not all wisdom. It's also love for the friends, being true to who you are, and sacrificing all possible ends to make sure that the good is done. And that's not technically Yoda. Yoda's more of your detached, wise, knowledgeable person. Right. And as much as I appreciate that persona, that's not Luke. And they tried to make him that, which just tells me even more that even the good parts of Luke they tried to make means they don't understand who he is.
Yeah. And I think they screwed it even more, Rise of Skywalker, because I was like, oh yeah, Luke and Lando were tracking down this, whatever that guy's name, to find that Sith Wayfinder. So when did he go to that other planet and banish him? and Luke wouldn't have rested until he found out. So, but how did he find out about a Wayfinder? Did he know Palpatine was still alive? Wait, what? What's going on here?
We are left with more questions.
Exactly, and I think that's how we started it off with. This last sequel did not answer a lot of questions, just brought forth a whole lot more. And then Ashley and I were actually talking about it. So Palpatine, we both can agree, or we all can agree, he's a master manipulator. Anakin, Darth Vader, Dooku,
Ben.
Oh, and then Kylo. Why didn't he have this power to his son or clone or whatever the heck he was to bring him Rey? What the heck happened there? I can't manipulate myself, because I don't know if it was a clone or if it really was his son. I don't know. Again, another question.
Yeah, the only thing I've been able to get from the Palpatine thing still being alive is, they try to do the flash cone scenery, but the real problem is not the body, it's the spirit of the dark side. Mm-hmm. I think that's what they were really trying to get in on, but they didn't explain it very well. Other than, well, if you try and strike me down, I'll just take your body. Which that doesn't really explain the whole thing. I kind of wish they dove into that a little more. Mm-hmm. On, okay, how did this guy end up being like the true tier of the dark side? Like top tier. What happened there? Like, what holocron did you find to be able to do something like this? Because that's usually how it works, is that somebody else figured it out, but they probably died and they had to store it somewhere in hopes that maybe another person could use it.
And I think that's what Bane, in his books, he found Revan's holocron, he found Freedon Nad's holocron, Belia Darzu's holocron, and I can't think of the other one, but he found a lot of them. And then the last one he found was the essence transfer. Figured out how to do that, and then that's Nana him. So it was just like, okay, I'm fighting her, and then ditch effort was to do an essence transfer into Xana. But, I don't know how things worked out. I don't know what's canon anymore. Because at the end of that book, Bane had a tremor in, I think it was his left hand, that he was always trying to keep from Xana because he wanted to keep, a sign of weakness away from her. And he thinks that would have been a sign of weakness. She would have just preyed upon him. So he tried to keep that from her. Well, after the whole essence thing happened and he was vanquished, basically, Xana is talking to Darth Cognis, and Cognis comes over to Xana and says, Darth Bane? And she goes, no, Darth Bane is no more, I am Darth Xana. But later on when they're talking, they had a tremor in the left hand. So I don't know if part of him got into her, if he's just trying to fake it. I don't know. Because, Bane was smart. He could try to fake it and just pretend he's Xana so that Cognis wouldn't know about it. So eventually when he would fight her or when she would challenge him, he could essence transfer into her body. To me, that makes sense, but I don't know.
That still is a question. We're not we think that's what it is, but we're not sure. And that's kind of how I'm still thinking about with Palpatine. There's probably some kind of essence transfer that he learned, which is a possibility if he took over the whole galaxy and then just said, Vader and your subordinates, find me every holocron you could possibly find, stash it somewhere. Right. Apparently that same planet, that dark side planet, stash it there. Maybe I can do something with it. But there's no record of him going there any time during the original series. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hard to say. And it's kind of a disappointment because they had so much to work with. And they just didn't work with it.
Yeah, they definitely didn't do their homework. Ashley just brought this up. Which one? This one? A? Just what do you think about Rey saying she's a Skywalker?
Oh, at the end.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird. Okay, you know why I think it's weird, and this isn't because this doesn't explain everything. But you know, Luke and Leia's spirit kind of show up. They kind of do like the mother father figure kind of thing, but that kind of weirded me out because I'm like, oh no, it's like what happened in Episode 6 when you find out Leia's his sister, right. And then they're like, wait, they were kind of romantic in 5. So that kind of reminded me of that, and I go, no, they're doing the brain teaser thing again,
right?
So it kind of weirded me out, to be honest. But also, that's not how it works. I mean, you unless there was some like you're carrying the Skywalker. Usually, it's the father mother figure that gives it, not like you just assume it. That's not how it works. Can you imagine if I just said, yeah, I'm part of the Stover clan, but they never gave the name to me. Like that. Right. That's not how it works. It's given.
But if you were in her shoes, and they ask you, so what's your name? What are you gonna say, Rey Palpatine?
I guess that'd be kind of weird. Yeah, fair enough.
You hear Palpatine, and they're like, dude, really?
Yeah.
So.
Could have just said just Rey, like earlier in the movie when that little girl asked her.
That's true. I don't have one. I am just Rey.
See, that's the dumb thing. They didn't give. She would be the same. She would only say Rey, earlier in the trilogy, and then that's like her last word. Yeah, Rey Skywalker. That such a brain teaser.
And then okay, now check this part out. You didn't watch Solo, but I think I told you this at one point. So, Solo is trying to sign up for the Imperial Air Force or whatever, Imperial Navy or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So he goes, oh, what's your name? Han. Okay, Han, what's your family name? I don't have one. Okay, so we'll give you Solo. And that's how they gave him his name. BS. That is not how it freaking happened. He was a freaking Solo. That's how the freaking books, that's how the freaking comics were. He was a freaking Solo. There was a freaking Solo clan. Them giving him just because he's Solo. That was BS. But with that being said, you know, I kind of thought about that. I was like, well, why couldn't she just said Rey Solo? Because she doesn't have a freaking last name. I mean, come on.
It's a cop out, right? It's a cop out. Doesn't respect where the name actually comes from, his lineage.
I think she really truly liked Ben like that. I mean, I think she would. I don't think she honored him at all.
No, and it was kind of strange how like she would almost die, and then Ben would almost die, then like they keep reviving each other. That was the Force Seal stuff really got out of hand in Episode 9.
And I think that's what kind of got me mad about it. Like, really? Like, Ashley just brought up, you know, Qui-Gon 50 years prior to that. I think
it's because Ben and Rey had a dyad in the Force, and only they could do that.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, so it's a unique circumstance. That's a cop-out. Well, because there's so many memes online now with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, Force Sylvie. I don't know how to do that. I'm gonna die. It's just, it will never be, because that was from 20 years ago when they made that film, and it's supposed to be he's mortally wounded. It's the master transferring his last dying wish to his Padawan. That's how it's supposed to be. But yeah, no, I was. You know what? The snake one, I thought that was perfect because they were about ready to get eaten alive. So, like, that makes sense. Heal a flesh wound. Cool. But a legit mortal lightsaber wound? I mean, come on.
No, I thought the whole snake one, I mean, it was okay. But she has mind trick powers, man. Snake, you're not going to eat us. Oh, okay. I'll just go away.
Or they could have just killed it.
No, Rey's not one to just kill somebody, just to kill somebody. But her doing her mind trick thing, that would have made more sense to me. I do know that, with the books I've read and some stuff that I've seen, every Force user has different types of powers. Like when Bane was training Xana, she was proficient in Sith sorcery, where he wasn't. He knew how to kind of defend himself against it, but he couldn't do the same stuff she did. And I think Valkorion was a Sith sorcerer, right? The original Emperor that fought Revan?
The original Emperor.
Revan.
I couldn't tell you, actually. So, Old Republic Revan fighting this guy.
Yeah. But anyways, my point is certain strengths and powers. And if that was their power, okay, cool, she can force heal. And then that would explain, okay, Obi-Wan didn't have force healing. Yoda didn't have force healing. Yoda could absorb Sith lightning. Cool. Andrew and I, my son and I have seen Plo Koon had Jedi lightning. Okay, cool. That's his special power. Okay. If everybody had their own little special thing, cool. I'm down with that. But, just everybody having it, man.
Well, because they both had it. Right.
Yeah. One of the coolest things in The Force Awakens minutes of the movie was Kylo Ren stopping that laser blast midair. That was something we had never seen before. I mean, could they have made him block it? Yes. Could they have made him, block it and then pull him towards him, or pull a gun towards him like Vader did and then back? Yes, they could have done that. But they went, I stopped it. I have enough concentration to keep it there while I'm doing my talking to Poe. That was awesome. I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah, a little different take than just... And then with Vader, I liked how he took the blast with his hand, like, okay, sure. And it legit made impact. I mean,
yeah.
Solo's hitting the guy. Yeah, don't worry about me. So he's doing a little bit of absorbing himself, because otherwise his armor would probably be getting hit.
Well, but he did have robotic limbs too, so maybe those were just absorbed or whatever. I don't know.
Either way, pretty cool, because then he just,
Yes.
yeah, okay, I'll take your gun now. Have a seat.
When I saw that movie way back in the 80s, I'm like, oh my god, this guy's freaking awesome. He's just taking these, I thought he had normal hands. I didn't, this was before I knew he was half, aside from, Obi-Wan saying, oh, he's half machine now, then man, isn't he? But yeah, the special powers thing, okay, whatever.
Yeah, new canon. Okay.
Yeah, everybody force heals. It's cool. it goes back to the new video game Jedi Order. I want to unlock that so I can force heal myself.
Oh man.
What do you think Finn was gonna say to Rey when Poe got pissy before they fell in that quicksand and met the snake?
Everyone knows, man. He's got it out. He's got a thing for her. He did. He's saying it on the side. He's just never brave enough to say it to her face.
There's some speculation that Finn and Poe could be a thing, but Disney's just not ready to have that talk yet.
I don't know, because I've heard various things. I heard that he was, wanted to confess his love, or that he cared for her. Part of me thinks, and you'd have to watch it again, that he was force sensitive.
Oh, okay.
So it's like when they're leaving, after they blow up the control tower on the ship, and then they get picked up by the Falcon. It was kind of like the whole Leia with Luke and Return of the Jedi, where I'm sure Luke was on that thing when it blew. It's like, he's not. I can feel it. It was kind of like that for me, where Finn was just like, okay, she's good. She's still alive. She's not dead. I can feel it. That he's force sensitive. Which I think would have been a perfect arc all along. I think they should have made him. He was a first order stormtrooper, he should have been a better fighter, you would think. Okay, I'm a janitor. Really? Why couldn't you just be, a fighter? That would have made, and then they could have even brought the whole Captain Phasma thing around, saying, okay, well, they just had a big rivalry. She really, really hates him, aside from him, leaving the First Order. When they were on Maz Kanata's planet, when he was fighting that guy, I called him a traitor. That would have been a cool fight scene where, oh yeah, okay, he knows how to fight. When he fought Kylo at the end of The Force Awakens, okay, yeah, he knows how to fight. I mean, you still could have had the same ending because obviously he doesn't have any training what Kylo does. But I think that he was Force sensitive.
I get that. It's just every time he tries to say it, why would he stop?
Right.
He's kind of. Why would you be embarrassed about being Force sensitive?
Right, and you have Poe right there, so it always leads you to think, oh, he's got a date for her. He's not going to say it for him because he's embarrassed.
Yeah, well, you can definitely tell there's this tug of war of, do we have a shot at Rey? Because, I don't know, I'm actually kind of willing to take it. But then they both just kind of put that to the side for whatever they're doing at the time. But yeah, like there's a meme about Finn, about just Rey!
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, that's it. It's kind of frustrating because you can tell that could you really do better than that? Probably. That'd be nice.
Right.
Yeah, that part was a little just a little irritating. Because there's what do you do with that? Just a little bit more questions, I suppose.
Well, again, more questions than answers.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Okay. I know you didn't watch Game of Thrones, but it was pretty much the same thing. You get into Game of Thrones, first half dozen seasons, awesome. You get into the last season, okay, all the questions are going to be answered. And okay, these are the questions: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You answered one of them, and then the rest, we'll just erase them. They don't matter anymore. And that's kind of like what happened here. It's just like, okay, what happened to Palpatine? What happened to Snoke? Ben, Knights of Ren, da-da-da-da-da. You don't really even answer any of them. I mean, unless you read the comics or read the books, I don't know who the Knights of Ren are. I don't know how Kylo took it, leadership of them. Where did Snoke come in? If they knew that Snoke turned him, or was trying to turn him, was Snoke some kind of a dignitary? Where did he come from?
And I think they're missing the biggest part of that whole trilogy. You went from the Jedi rebuilding, which was legit canon, to just back to there's only Rey and Luke. What? No. Well, every other canon says that's not true. You've got Kyle Katarn, you got all these other people running around, and you got Luke still in his black suit, not in those silly Jedi Master robes that he was in.
Mm-hmm. And then if you type in, like the most powerful Jedi Masters, Luke is number 1. Okay, but they made him run away. Really? Why? This is one of those things that I would just love to pull Lucas in to find out where Lucas would have went. Or pull J.J. Abrams. Okay, if you were going to do all 3, the last 3, how would you have done it? What did he goof up? When he did Episode 8, what did you want? Did he do what you wanted to do, or did he just scrap what you wanted to do and just go in a different direction? Was Palpatine the end-all be-all, or was it really Snoke?
Lucas is over here going, no, that was the end. 6 was fine. Yeah. It's like, what? What do you want? You got Luke Skywalker's going to rebuild the Republic. They're going to call it the New Republic, and yeah, it's going to be good. They're going to probably still have to fight the Empire from time to time, but they're going to be the small, broken factions, which is how the canon goes. So you'll have these special operations troopers that come in from time to time. Oh, we didn't fight them because they were typically guarding some fortress world or whatever.
Well, that was one of the things that people hated about Rogue One, that you had all these different troopers. You had all the troopers on Scarif, the sand troopers. Oh, we've never seen these guys before. Well, they were specialized, like the Death Troopers. These guys were specialized. You wouldn't see him here because they were beach troopers. The Death Troopers only guarded like, the high moths or something like that. I know Thrawn had some Death Troopers, and obviously what's his name, Krennic. He had Death Troopers. So yeah, I can see some of that, and that's why I'm not mad at it. It was troopers for everything, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna see all the different troopers, but I can see, they didn't have any of the Inquisitors on the show or in the movies, but they're in the video games, right?
That's true. Kylo Ren's guys that he fought.
The Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
What about them?
Don't you think they should have been a bigger part?
Well, I know, that's kind of what I asked. He was asking if the Knights of Ren should have had a bigger part, and it's like,
yes. How about Episode 7? That would have been the time to bring him in.
Yeah,
You've
right
got
at the very beginning. Instead of having all those troopers right then and there, they could have had the Knights of Ren and Kylo hunting down that piece of the map of Skywalker. To me, that makes more sense.
And then you could have seen the Jedi Temple that they're like trashing and something. So that would be kind of understand, all right, this is where they want to take it. And it would have been kind of nice to have some survivors. Kyle Katarn. That guy is legit canon after Episode 6.
Mm-hmm.
And he's awesome because he's
one of the strongest Jedis aside from Luke.
And that would have been cool because then Rey would, you're not alone, Rey. Boom! And then you see Kyle Katarn come in. Or you've got a couple other people that survived. And then Luke goes, oh, you guys survived. I'm not a failure after all. Well, let's do this. I have someone to fight for. I'm in. And that would have... See, there could have been a restoration again. A last restoration of Luke. Regardless if he died or not.
Yeah.
That would have been a lot more fun.
What you go about doing is you have him die for what he believes, what he loves, what he's fighting for. I think was that making him whatever? But I think that's how he goes. Or a la Yoda, or something like that. But to me, I always remember Luke always fighting for what he loves, fighting for his friends and family.
Right, and then he'll die doing that as a happy man. Like that's how he lived. That's how he'll die.
I guess that's how he died in this one. I guess protecting.
See,
resistance.
Right, and I think Disney definitely. They don't understand that Luke is not a Yoda figure. He's more of an Obi-Wan figure.
Mm-hmm.
Or some kind of hybrid, because he is powerful in both senses, but definitely leans on the Obi-Wan characteristic of not all wisdom. That's not him. I think he's more on the love side, which is definitely what Kenobi's about.
Yep. I would agree with that.
So they had a mix-up. They thought it was all about Yoda. It's like negative. Not even a bit.
No, Yoda is Yoda. Yoda is unique. I don't care what this little kid is, the child from the Mandalorian. Yoda is Yoda. He's a unique character. The backwards talking guy, the wisest of them all. That is Yoda. Yoda didn't want Luke to go to Bespin. Luke went to Bespin.
And for what it's worth, do you think that was? I'll ask you this, because I think unless you have any other questions. I had a question about Empire Strikes Back. Do you think that Luke going to Bespin early actually was a good idea to save his friends, even though it cost him his arm?
I think so, because that was him. That was all his character. He wanted to protect his friends, and by going there, it showed him who his father was, obviously.
So target identification. He knows his enemy.
Mm-hmm. And it brought up questions like, well, why the heck did they keep this from me? If he's my father and they said that Vader killed my father, and now I'm finding out this is my father, I feel it because he even called him father when they were escaping. He deep down he knew it. So it was like, why did these guys that Kenobi and Yoda that I trust, why did they lie to me? And if he didn't go, I wonder if his sister and Han and Chewie. Well, Han would have still went to the same spot, but I don't know what would have happened to Leia and Chewie. But
I think it inspired a little confidence because when Leia saw Luke, it's trapped. You gotta get out of here. Like we're trying to go too. Maybe I think he did fight them enough, to fight the Empire enough to kind of give him a little bit of a push to make it to the Falcon. Not very much though, but maybe inspired a little bit of hope. Because and that was something I saw in Leia that I thought was kind of cool in 5, because she has something for Luke that's a little deeper than Han in some ways. Like with Han, it's definitely more of a typical romantic attraction, but she doesn't want to admit it. But with Luke, it's just straight up like it's. I think it's even deeper than that. Now she obviously marries Han, but I think, and it's not even because of the family thing. I think there was a legit, even. It was one more tear in her heart kind of thing, because she's screaming out for the guy to get out of there. Like, I don't recall her getting that emotional, like, ever.
No. I mean, you would have think, for the love that she had for Han, that when he got killed by Kylo, you would have thought that she would have went ballistic.
Like, ballistic.
Yeah, like, fell to her knees, screaming, and everybody would have looked at her like, what the heck's wrong with you? But, yeah, and you never saw any of that stuff.
But you did with Luke.
And she didn't even scream. The only other time you in distress or, emotionally compromised is when Luke left. And then Han came out and he's all, what's going on? You could tell Luke, is that what you could tell? And then, she was, starting to cry. And, how many times have you seen her cry?
Yeah, Luke, I gotta say, she had it was something that like transcended romance, because it wasn't romantic. It was something like just rock solid love.
I think that's a twin thing.
Yeah.
Because I think my kids experienced that kind of stuff, because I remember 5 or so years ago, I was at work and they went ice skating, and Andrew toe picked and he fell down on the ice and he on his chin where he cut it open pretty good, and then so he got up and then he passed out, boom, like a sack of potatoes. And then I remember my wife called me. I met them at the ER. And then Andrew was there. They numbed up that area, but they still had to stitch him. And as soon as they started stitching him, you can tell Andrew's pain, actually crying for her brother. And it's like,
I was crying more than Andrew.
Yeah, she was crying more than him. And it's like, I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. That might be just like a twin thing. They feel harder for each other. They were there at the same time. I don't know. I'll have to ask my aunt that, because my aunt is twins. So.
Yeah, maybe we can get some more data on that, because
because my aunt, obviously she's my aunt, but she says, because she never had any kids, so she says, you're like my son, because I never had any kids. So I don't know if there's like a little bit deeper in there, because her brother, son or sons. We'll see, but we'll definitely have to try to get data on that.
Yeah, and that was something that was kind of bothersome about the sequels, though, is that, you've got Leia screaming her lungs out for Luke in 5.
And speaking of which, did you read all the books, or at least the books where Jaina and Jason fought each other, where he turned?
Oh yeah, so when I was like 11, I was reading those books for breakfast. So you got there's an AT-AT walker with the new Rogue Squadron, New Republic that's fighting stuff. The new Empire factions that are smaller. You've got Jason and his sister that are both the son and daughter of Han and Leia. And then there's definitely that dark side pole, but Ben Solo. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, they kind of got that right, but there was technically a sister involved, but they said, we'll just make Rey, and then they won't be related. And I go, they could have just made them related. This is a big family opera scene in space. So that would have made sense to keep with the books.
Well, I don't know if you remember in the books, you remember Jason and Jaina fought each other.
Yeah.
And then she killed him.
Yeah, she unfortunately did.
And then I think her romantic partner, he came into wherever Jason. You know, she killed him. You know, she knows that he's dead, and you know she's holding her brother. Then he comes in. He's because they both kick the crap out of each other. So he comes in. He's you're bleeding, or she had like a big old lightsaber wound.
Gash.
She got her butt kicked, and then he goes to like pull Jason off of her and don't touch him. You don't touch him. And I'm like, well, you just killed him.
Yeah.
Because she was grieving, and that was her brother, but she didn't want anybody else to touch him. So I don't know. Again, I think it's just like a twin thing. It's something maybe we might not understand. It might feel on a different level. I don't know. Maybe, but that could explain why she was like that with him rather than with Luke anyway.
It's at least one explanation, which I was looking for, because I remember even before the Bespin scene, like when he survived the crazy monster that pretty much clawed him up pretty good. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's just like, yeah, that's a good man. I'm going to reward him. And then it's just Han's looking all weird, like, what was that for? Because she's giving him like the stink eye,
right?
Walking out of the room. And it's like, look, there's still some good people around.
Just to piss him off.
But yeah, and it's dumb too, because it's like, well, wait a minute. I just saved him.
Right.
That's not how this works. That was a good Lucas thing, because it's not just about what you do; it's also about who you are. Whack,
For yourself, for sure.
Yeah, that was a great lesson. A good lesson from 1980, which is when that movie came out, right?
Yeah, I think it was 2.
Yeah.
Still one of my favorite. I don't even know if that was the first one I ever remember watching. I just know that those original I've watched numerous times. Yesterday, Revenge of the Sith. Watched that. Well, good movie.
You know what? After talking with you, I might need to get Empire Strikes Back a little higher than A New Hope. I think that might need to be where Empire Strikes Back needs to be.
Well, are you in on Saturday?
I'm in on Sunday.
Okay, Sunday night?
Yeah, Sunday night for Monday.
We'll chat on Monday about it.
Yeah, I'll give you my final list, with Empire Strikes Back probably being a little higher. And I'll put that in the description. Maybe we can put them both in, so that way we can kind of compare or contrast.
Well, like I said, it's just harder for me because Rogue One and A New Hope are one. So it really should be 10.
If anything, it should be tied,
Yeah.
I'd tie them, because A New Hope is pretty boring for that first 45 minutes.
It is until pretty much the Death Star. Everything that happens on the Death Star. Then, okay, when he yells at them for shooting and Chewie, yelling and all that stuff, that's where all the action comes.
Yeah, because even everything else in A New Hope, I mean, it's kind of a waiting game until you get to that Death Star.
And that's how it was. That's how the Phantom Menace was for me. Waiting game. Waiting game. Okay, pod race. Cool. And then Darth Maul lands on Tatooine. Okay, pod race. Cool. Where's Darth Maul? Where's Darth Maul at? Okay, they're leaving. Oh, Darth Maul. Cool. And then. Okay. Boring. Okay, they're going back to Naboo. Cool. Okay. So now we're back on. Good stuff. That's how it is.
They have a great score, though. So in 1, they took their time with just looking over, and they give you a really good musical score. So they allowed the film to just kind of develop on its own without rushing it. I didn't feel rushed at all in 1, which is one of my biggest complaints about the sequels. As long as they were, I felt rushed the whole time. And I'm going, what the heck?
They're just trying to put too much into it. Yeah. But speaking of score, there's another thing on TikTok Ashley and I watch where they do the top 10 musical scores. So I'll have to share one of those with you. Have it on.
Okay.
It's funny. Some of the ones I have an issue with. It drives me freaking crazy how they usually rank that 5 or 6. I'm like, are you freaking serious?
It's because when we catch
I don't care if it's catchy. It's not like better. And granted, she gave me crap for it because I was singing it yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
When I was eating lunch, I was singing that song. She's like, "What do you like the?" like it above like, Duel of the Fates or Battle of Heroes. I'm sorry, it doesn't rate with those. It's maybe a top 10 or a top 20.
Yeah, Duel of the Fates it's just, you could argue that's like the highest point of like opera kind of score.
Like,
You feel in it.
Yeah. Imperial March is another one. I love Imperial March. I have that on my. Imperial March is up there. The Binary Sunset, love it. Leia's theme or Yoda's theme, okay, they're cool. The throne room when they giving the medals to not Chewie.
I know.
He eventually gets a medal.
I know.
But how did Maz get that?
I don't know. Maybe. Oh, because I think Leia was holding it.
What?
I think Leia was holding. Wasn't Leia holding?
Oh, yeah, in 4. Yeah, I think.
No, in 9.
Which
Oh,
9?
Yeah.
so holding Han's medal or something.
Yeah, that she ended up giving to Chewie. I mean, to me, that's awesome. It's like, okay, here's the medal that you deserve, but it's also for your best friend. So it's like a dual thing for me. Although he did already deserve the medal, so it's kind of cool.
For what that's how I thought. It's really, Han was the pilot, Chewie's the co-pilot. They kind of wanted it together, but because it probably won't necessarily fit around Chewie's neck, give it to Han. It's meant for a human. Give him a break. It's the 70s when they came out, so I mean, yeah, no, I dig it. It wasn't meant as a disrespect, and if they just let him roar at the end because they're like trying to do like the lion kind of roar like the beginning of a film to kind of tie it all together. Yeah, that's all they did. Yeah, Chewie's got some great lines though, and he never says a single word I can even really pick up.
I have to admit, when they are playing the chess, when he plays it both times, when he's plays it, Finn and Poe, I thought that was freaking classic. It's like, what's taking his because he cheats, and then he got all pissed off.
Yeah.
200 years old, of course you don't cheat. And then they leave, he's cheating. Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Chew's been messing with that board forever. Just forever.
So, I don't have anything else.
Yeah, I'm pretty much done too. As far as I'm glad we got some KOTOR in. Yeah.
We'll get some more in. I think I still have some questions from the last time, and we have maybe a couple left over from this time, but we can save them for the next round.
Yeah, let's save them for the next round so we can get some more data in for it. Yeah, I like this one though. Yeah, getting able to actually rank all the films and explain some of the finer points of like 5. For me, that was important because for me, 5 wasn't always in a special place, but thanks to this, I have a higher appreciation for it now that you put a lot of those points together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because now I remember like when Leia's like freaking out for Luke, or just the classic lines they say to each other, like with Lando, you got a lot of guts coming back here. Just...
or he's no good to be dead. Or what else does he say? No disintegration. Bounty hunters. We don't need their scum. Man, there's all kinds of lines.
Yeah, never tell me the odds. I think that was the one I remembered from the first time. Yeah.
How many times did he bring the odds up in that one? When he was talking about being outside.
So on the snow planet, in the asteroid field. Yeah. The third time they just put their mouth over his hand. Yeah. Yeah, just turn him off. Turn him off.
Character evolution was great.
Ashley says she thinks that 3PO's character evolution.
Like, he was so sarcastic in the sequel.
That is true.
Yeah, I do like how they. I mean, even if they didn't have Anakin build him, I still think that it was cool having him in the pre. They could have done without him. But,
yeah.
It was cool. Same thing with R2. I remember in the theater watching the. he was one of the droids that went up. You know, everybody was cheering.
Yeah, I was rooting for him. I'm going, no way! That's where he comes in?
Yep. He's always that character that just gets him out of trouble. You know, on Geonosis, when Padme got stuck in that hole where they were going to do the molten lava metal and turn it off. Revenge of the Sith, when, you know, Obi-Wan was calling him on the comm. And then, you know, he gets his butt kicked by the two super battle droids, but then he kicks their butt.
Yeah, and then gets to the wall again.
You know, he comes and then that robot kicks him over. It's like, he's not afraid of those guys. He's freaking cool.
Yeah, R2, and who knows how many times his memory got wiped.
Well, I mean, you look at the very first shot and, oh man, he got shot. Okay, R2's gone. You know, he's no more. And then, oh no, he's still here. He's still alive and kicking.
Yeah, he never said a word either, but we all loved R2. And I hope for the next Star Wars stuff they make, they bring in characters of, oh, that's how he got in, and we're actually cheering. Like, good job, Disney, for putting that in for the writers, instead of, oh, a cop-out, like Solo, where he got his name. Like, no one's cheering for that.
I want to know more about Poe's girlfriend.
Oh, the little wheelie...
No, like the guy who wipes you...
Boba Frick?
Yeah. Him and the girl that Poe makes eyes to.
Yeah.
Oh! She's like, kind of like the chick from Episode 2, but a little more sincere and in Episode 9. Yeah, no, I actually liked her.
Yeah. I just like when he gives her eyeballs like, kiss you now? She's like, yeah, she was cool. I liked her.
Oh, baby, Boba Frick, my oldest friend.
Yeah. Well, Red 5. Stuff.
It's good stuff, man. I like this one too. We're putting this in. This is podcast 32 for everyone watching. Yeah, I really dug this. Thanks for doing this, Paul, and your kids too. Thanks for having them on. Yeah.
And over there, he might be like, he's the Halo guy. Andrew really likes Halo.
Dude, I need a weapon. Right this way. Yeah. Yeah, Halo
2 with him.
I like Halo Reach.
She's a Reach girl.
A Reach girl. I like the book. The game wasn't as good as the book. That's okay. I think they did a decent job with Reach too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, George, the true Spartan 2 mentality. Yeah, he's good.
I like Emil.
She likes Emil.
Oh, Emil. Yeah, the guy with the blade. He goes down swinging.
So that they made, you know, since Microsoft, obviously Microsoft game, Gears of War has 2 of the Halo characters in it. It has Emil and Kat.
Dude, Kat goes down with a vent. I'm like, when Kat died, I go, what? Like, she gets sniped in the head. Like, no, come on. Like,
yeah, she's in the game, and she was one of the first characters I used because she has her little hologram thing that she would use, so I'd use her. It was cool. But yeah, those 2 are in it.
yeah, Halo's for another time, but I definitely have a soft spot in my heart for Star Wars and Halo. 100%. Master Chief for life.
You hear that, Ange? Master Chief for life.
Yes.
He's smiling.
Good. I'm glad to make some... Hey, and here's one last quote. Yeah, we got something to smile about. Huh? Sergeant Johnson? Anyway. No, he says, so smile, would you? So we got some... Well, we still have something to smile about. That's Halo 2.
Yeah, Andrew remembers what he says.
Yeah, that's the... You told me there wouldn't be any cameras. And you told me you were going to wear something nice. Yeah, great scene. Yeah, that's all in the beginning of Halo 2 in the cutscenes. You'll see it. Especially the remastered is just amazing. So.
Is that the one you were still playing?
I'm playing it right now. Yeah, it is hard, dude. No joke.
I'm replaying Jedi Order on hard.
You're an animal. You're an animal.
Dude, it was. Angela was watching me play. I went to Dathomir. I'm even being harder on myself because I already got skill points. I have like 7 of them. I'm not using them. I want to see how far I can get with. I absolutely have to use them.
No.
Oh my god.
You're an animal.
It's painful. It is painful. And it sucks because I don't have some used to like jetting over to somebody, slowing them down, attacking them. Well, that's all I have. I don't have the force push yet. I don't have this. So I'm used to like muscle memory. Oh dang, I don't have that anymore. No. So.
You're an animal, dude. That I try it on. I think Jedi Master, and I'm going. This is stupid.
Yeah, it is. You got to be so precise on the blocking, and I was getting frustrated. It was bad.
Well, good luck in your Jedi Fallen Order campaign, and hopefully have some fun with it while you're at it instead of just suffering.
I'm gonna double check to make sure how many achievement points, because it might not even be. If it's like 100 achievement points, I might try it, but if it's only like 5, never mind.
5? What are you gonna do with 5 achievement points exactly?
Nothing. I don't even care if it's something to brag about. It's not worth it.
Cool. I hope all of you enjoy the rest of your day. I dug this.
Right on. Well, I'll see you on Monday morning.
Cool. Catch you then, Chief.
All right, bud.
Red 5 out.
All right. Bye.
Bye.